Hey, hello. Hi, Akshata. Hi, everybody. Hi, Anusha. Thank you for joining us today. Hello. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kashika. Hi. So good to see familiar faces over here. Hi. Hi, Anusha. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining this live today. Okay, guys, so before I begin, I will just wait for a few more seconds for people to join. Okay, guys, so it's March and it's appraisal season, and I hope that you all are walking into that review meeting all confident. But even if you are not, that's okay. It's totally normal. In fact, that's why we are doing this live today with our founder and CEO Priyanka Gill, who's going to give you some amazing hacks on how to nail that review meeting, how to nail your performance appraisal review meeting, and how to have a fantastic discussion with your manager. So I'm gonna add her to this live. Just wait for a few seconds.
Uh, Hi, PG.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. PG, how are you doing? You're looking lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, PG. So I was just talking to our viewers about how performance reviews are a chance to prove your worth and get a leg up in your career. So, PG, without further ado, I would like to ask you to give us some insight into how to nail that performance review meeting and how to make the most of your appraisal. So my first question to you, PG, is that is it important to prepare a pitch before you get into your review meeting?
So, hi guys, it's so good to see all of you here. And I think this is a very important topic for us to discuss because
Yeah.
it is a chance for every person who's a working person. We put in time, we put in effort and energy into our jobs, and making sure that we are being properly compensated for what we do is extremely important. And I say this both as someone who has people working with her, and also as someone who also works. I also work for the company as well, right? So making sure that you're
Right.
compensated for what you do, it is your right, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong in making sure that you're prepared for this meeting, and you should be prepared for this meeting. I find it very difficult when people come in and we're having a meeting and they're not prepared for it. I'm like, so, okay, fine, tell me what you've been doing. And I expect a presentation or I expect numbers to come at me. Hey, I've done so much, and so this is what it is. But if that doesn't happen, it's disappointing both for the manager and, of course, it doesn't do you any favor as well. So making sure you're properly prepared and you are going into the meeting with the right frame of mind is extremely important, right? It's a frame of mind in the sense that you want it to be a win for you and you also want it to be a win for the company, right? The worst thing to do is, hey, give me so much money. If you don't give me so much money, I'm leaving, right? And most likely 99.9% of the time, you're going to have to leave after that. And once you've given that ultimatum,
Oh.
then there's you've played your first card, your last card first, and then there's no room left for negotiation after that. So being properly prepared is important, and it is respected because it means that you're also respecting the time of the person who's reviewing you as well.
So PG, I mean, I would like to say over here, I'm really excited on what's coming forward because you are my boss and I'm going to get some key points over here right now. So PG, what are the points that one should remember while you are preparing your pitch?
So, I
Of
think,
course, there are,
yeah, it's a year-long process, right? So I think as
yeah,
professionals, it's very important for us to keep a track of what we are doing. It's important to keep a track of, your wins, it's of what you've done, of the amazing things you've done. And it's also important to keep a track of the things that you've learned, right? Of the feedback that you've gotten and what you've learned. So if you kind of regularly keep track of that, and if you have a kind of a notebook or you have a document somewhere where you're putting all of these things down, then preparing yourself for the end of the year review meeting is very, very easy, right? Because then you're able to put the numbers together. You're able to put instances together. Look, for this particular project, this is what I contributed. For that project, that's what I contributed. So just keeping bullet points of what you've done or what you do throughout the year is extremely it's a really good practice to have. So you're not, at the end, most people, okay, the meeting is coming the night before, kya kiya tha maine, they start thinking ki kya kiya tha, kya kar sakte hain. So that last minute, of course, if you do it, it's well, but preparing ongoing kind of notes throughout the year, as and when things are happening, that's probably what's going to help you the most, right? And if you haven't already done, your meeting is coming up, then you should really sit down with a calm head and really try and attach a numerical value to what you do, right? So we have a lot of social media people in our
Yeah, I see.
all of you guys, like Ekta, you, for example, do your the videos that you do for us, the fitness videos in the morning. They're very, very popular.
Yeah.
That's a format that you run and you own solely. So putting a number together for that, okay, throughout the year, I've done so many videos, they've gotten so many views, likes, shares, reactions, comments, everything else. So preparing that in a case study format would be important, right? And then you're able to show after the company in one thing that you do. And then, of course, then you do other things as well. So, over the course of the year, I've kind of been responsible for so many articles. I would be very impressed to actually know that number. I can bet you don't know what that number is right now. How many?
No, PG, I check the analytics every day, so I know what's my top story every day, and on the basis of that, we decide what are we going to do.
Ongoing, Baba, I'm saying overall for the whole year. How many articles did you write? How many?
No, PG, I'm sorry. No, here I don't have it.
How many paid articles got in, right? So that's important to know. And if you come to me and say, okay, 1 million page views this year, right? I mean, that's a powerful to your reporting manager.
Right. So, PG, is it only about your personal achievements, or is it important to tell your manager how you are, leading your team, your own team, and how important is team feedback, team management when you are doing the review meeting?
So look, it's if you are a team manager and if you are not an individual contributor, which some people are and some people are not, then of course, then you have to keep kind of a 360-degree kind of a viewpoint on yourself, that as an individual contributor, this is what I did, and as a manager, I'm managing so many people, and as a team, this is what we did, right? So being able to articulate that concisely without it feeling like you're being too pushy, that is the art, right? And that is what you should kind of really kind of figure out. The better you get at it over the course of your career, the more money you're going to make. So don't do it for any other, if you do this properly.
Right. So also I would like to know, I'm sure you as a manager, you've done like a lot of reviews. What are those phrases or words that you should never use during a review?
Give it to me, or that the ultimatum is kind of, it's a nuclear option. And unless you're like deadly sure that without you, the company is going to go under, never use that, right? And actually, literally, there's no one who's that indispensable to any company, right? So,
okay.
Right? And having a combative stance, coming into the meeting with a negative kind of, oh my God, you guys have never taken care of me. The mindset with which you enter this meeting is very important. You have to be peppy, you have to be upbeat, you have to be excited about what you do, excited of the company, and coming into the meeting with a positive mind space that, okay, I'm just having a conversation with my manager, and we will get, and kind of, we'll come to a point where it will be kind of fair and equitable to both of us, right? That is the mind space.
Right.
Sometimes you're sitting in a meeting and this person's kind of really, she's really upset, or she's kind of coming in, or she has a competing offer and then she wants you to meet that. None of these tactics work, right? So you have to always be positive, upbeat, prepared, and have a conversation. It's not a fight, it's a conversation that you're having.
Okay, so apart from being positive and peppy, can you give us like 5 phrases that one can keep in their back pocket to ace that review meeting?
Look, it's very hard to keep phrases in mind, but numbers talk,
okay.
Right? And especially in PopX, so we know that for sure, that numbers talk, right? If you're able to show the numbers for what you do, that is strong, right? And to be able to do it in an articulate fashion, that's very strong. I'll give you an example. So few years ago, I was sitting in a review for a person who was on the sales team for PopXO. And I had done I knew that she had done very well. She was our top salesperson. And after of course, Sanjana, who is our kind of head of sales, but she was a top salesperson. And she sat down in the meeting and I was waiting for her to say that to me. Like, I am your best performing salesperson. And she never said that. She didn't that she was actually the best. And I would expect that meeting to start with that. Hey, PG, I've done really well. It's been an exciting year. And this is what I've done. So being able to show that number in a nice way is important. If you have that, of course. If not, then showing concrete examples of what you've done, right? Which could be where you've shown initiative, where you've gone over and beyond, where you've thought of some really cool idea that work really well. All of those things basically work.
So on that note, I'm going to take a question from our social media head, Sanyukta. She is asking, do managers really want such detailed numbers, given that they have a lot of people under them to review?
That's even more important, right? If you have a lot of people to review, you're not going to keep them straight in your head. It's impossible, no matter how well prepared. So the meeting is your time to make your case. Yes. And even more so if you're the person who you're meeting with has a lot of people that they're reviewing. So yeah, Sanyukta, please get your number.
Okay, PG. So, what is the most surprising thing that you have heard during review meetings? Is there anything that really surprised you?
One pattern I've noticed is that women are not that aggressive as men in review meetings, right? And I'm making this this generalization because I've been at a point where so many women have come to me and men have come to me as well. Generally, overall, and I'm not kind of pinpointing, but generally we seem to be more reticent about asking for money, right? And it's just that is a fact, right? So it's okay, this is your right. You're doing this.
So why?
You're doing this for your career, but you're doing this because it has to be financially viable for you, right? So don't be shy of discussions. Do it in the right way, but do it, right? This is your right. So that is one thing that I've noticed, that a lot of sometimes if I'm sitting across a man and then he'll kind of be fairly prepared and things will come at me, and they come in expecting to get what they want. Oftentimes I'll see when women come in the meeting, they're coming in with a very ginger expectation. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't get it, but kuch nahi hota. I just wanted to make sure that my boss still likes me at the end of it. So just remove that expectation and come in with positivity and with the point of view that both of us are going to be happy at the end of this. So that's important.
So while we're talking money, I would like to ask here that is it okay to be direct? Like for instance, say that this is how much I'm expecting. This is how much my peers are getting. So is it okay to put a number to it?
See, honestly, in the format of this meeting, very rarely do you actually get to the number there, right? Because the purpose of this meeting is that you get assigned a rating at the end of this, and on base of the rating, then you come to know what is the appraisal that you're getting, right? So, I generally would not expect you to come at me saying, hey, PG so-and-so is making X, I want to make X, Y, Z, right? So that would be a bit difficult. This is a space for you to showcase exactly what you've done, right? And do it. And after that, if you feel that the number is not matching your expectation, then is the time to request another meeting and say, okay, can I please understand exactly what you think? What can I do better? This is what I'm expecting. How can I get there? So having that constructive discussion is important.
Wow, I can see that people are really loving that answer. Okay, Didi, so there are certain common questions that all managers ask. One is, what are your biggest strengths? So this is, I think everybody gets this question, but tell us a smart answer to this question.
See, there are lots of general answers, So, for example, what is your biggest weakness? I work too hard. Pretty much 90% of the people when asked that question are going to give something that's a pat on the back for them. So it's not really like a strength couched as a weakness. So when you're talking to, say you ask, what is your biggest strength? Try and be specific, try and give examples, and try and come up with something that is actually true to you. Being authentic is very, very important, right? So for example, and your manager knows you. Yeah?
Yeah, true.
Like Sanyukta, for example, since I just saw her name, she does not like coming in front of the camera so much, right? So suddenly, my strength is, I'm the head of social media, and I love doing these lives. I know that it is not her strength, but even she knows that. So making up things, but what is authentic to you is important, and make sure you showcase that with examples.
Well, I guess now she has to come in front of the camera because she is the head now. So, okay. So, for instance, for example, if you have like an argument with your manager a day before your review meeting, Is that, is that something that you should worry about, or like maybe you have a good performance, but you had an argument, so should you be worried?
See, honestly, I don't think you should be. Anyone should be having arguments in the workplace. Everyone is an adult,
Yeah.
right? For example, you're being told to do something, you don't agree with it, but you actually have to come to a point of agreement and then actually do it well, right? So it's very rare that, you have to be professional, and having arguments is not very professional, right? You can have a discussion on something, but at the end of the discussion, it should be that we agree to do X, Y, and Z, right? So definitely I would not strongly recommend not having arguments firstly, but in case you have had a disagreement or you feel that, this kind of something has happened, it's always good to sort that out as soon as you can. So don't leave it, don't let it linger, right? The other person is also professional, so deal with it that way. And the review meeting with it before.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to take a question over here. How to respond in a positive way when asked about how much raise do you expect, and how do you understand the areas of improvement?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question, right? So often something expect. At that point, again, homework is important. You should know that in your industry, for what you do, what is the comparative pay that other people are getting. That homework is very important, right? And then you should be able to actually cite examples of that, and then based on that, come up with the number that you're wanting. Again, backing up the number that you want with facts. That is what actually will help, right? For example, say you were to come to me and say, okay, I'm expecting to get, 5 lakhs a month, right? But I'm just kind of picking a number. So if you want to come and say, I expect you to tell me that people of your level in different companies who are similar to you, they're also getting paid that, right? The value of this 5 lakh to the company is going to be X, Y, and Z. So even if you want to ask for an outrageous number, make sure that it is backed up by your peers, by the comps that you can find. Prepare for that, right? And then give the number that is sensible and reasonable, right? Come and say, hey, I want a 50% raise. You're not going to get that. No companies give. And also have a chat with HR and say, okay, what is the ballpark? So doing your homework, having those discussions beforehand, that is where the magic lies. Because what you're going to do in the meeting itself is the result of all of that. Coming in cold into this meeting is a bad idea. If you haven't done your homework, coming in, asked how much do you want, you are really not going to know what to say.
Yeah, of course. Happened with me once. Okay, so I understand that it is important to lay out your achievements. Is it also important to tell your manager how much extra work you've done apart from your, responsibilities?
See, again, with that, it depends on the way you say it, right?
Yeah.
So one is, oh my God, I'm working every single day. I'm working till like 12 o'clock at night. You really shouldn't be. If you are, then either you're not managing your time well, or there's a problem there, right? So this should get addressed way before the review meeting. But again, if you have accomplished things, if you have spent time outside work to do something for work, put it in a good way, right? And put it in a positive way. What I'm doing so much so I don't realize where time goes. For example, 2 weekends in a row, I was working on XYZ project. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me, something.
Yeah, that's a smart way to say it.
The person knows what you're talking about, but you're not holding it against them, and you're not doing it in kind of a way that's threatening to your boss, right? So again, it's the attitude with which you can say the same thing in a way that is positive. You can say the same thing in a way that's not positive. So always try and go towards the positive side of things wherever you can.
Right. And, you're bound to get your manager's feedback on how you're doing, what you're doing well and what you aren't doing well. So, should you, discuss your weaknesses during the meeting? How should you address that?
See, look, all of us have strengths and weaknesses, right? And that's just part and parcel of who we are. Some things that I'm good at, I'm not good at other things as well. And you should know yourself really well at that, right? And we have to be, and those are the weaknesses are either where you go and ask for help, or you go and figure out a way to get better at that. So when I am having a discussion where I'm pointing out weaknesses and where I see rooms for improvement, I think that is a point in the meeting where you are really open-minded and you're not arguing back, right? Oftentimes, sometimes this weakness or areas of improvement goes into an area of argument or discussion, right? But But remember that this is your manager's point of view. And if she is saying a certain thing, there is a reason behind it. Try and understand that instead of finding argument there. And even if you really feel strongly about it, let the meeting be. Later on, you can have another discussion with her saying, okay, I was just trying to kind of come back to you in that meeting. You said this. I really wanted to understand that better. So don't go and get into an argument. Don't start. For example, I say, if they're a bad manager of people, right? Obviously, no one's going to say that in that way. But even if you do, you have to calmly say, okay, I get it. Can you please explain to me how I can be better? It's the way that that actually is what shows resilience. But you're like, oh my God, how did you say that to me? Like, that's going to be a horrible answer.
Yeah, of course. That doesn't work. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to my next question. So all of us prepare that, why we deserve a raise. But what if your manager bluntly tells you that you haven't done anything significant to deserve a raise? What is the right answer to that?
See, again, there are two approaches to that. Either you figure out where the person is coming from, right? And you use that as an area of improvement for yourself, right? And if you really can't, you don't see it, you think they're being unfair, then maybe later on have a discussion with them saying, look, I really don't think this is fair for X, Y, Z reason. Then again, prove your case. And if you don't come to an agreement, then you guys do what you do, right? So I mean, that's perfectly.
Yeah.
Again, you are an economic doing all this, financial, and all of this, but then you're respected for that. So
Right.
before you get to that point, so your home run, actually have understood where the person is coming from and whether they're right or wrong. Sometimes companies give raises, sometimes a tough patch and you don't give raises in certain years because, I mean, there are certain issues that the company is having and oftentimes employees know about that, right? But if you feel getting raises and you're not getting a raise and you think it's unfair, please have that discussion, but do it again from a positive kind of frame of mind, trying to understand where the person is coming from, proving them, kind of showing them how they could be mistaken using facts. If that doesn't work, then of course, then you'll have to have further discussions with the person if you're really worried about that.
Okay, this feels like a good time to take a question from Style in a Suitcase. She is asking, can office politics fall in the way of appraisal? How to work through that?
See, look, all of us are human beings, right? Your manager's a human being, you're a human being. Office politics are part and parcel of what we do. Good companies try and kind of create systems in place where it is not, when you create systems to avoid negative implications of office politics. But that's where your HR kind of team comes into play. That's where your manager comes into play. So remember that everyone is watching, right? Nothing actually happens in a vacuum. For example, if I were to observe a manager kind of giving a bad review to someone because of politics, it will come to the manager's manager for sure, and it will be taken care of. If it's really not taken care of, then again, that's a discussion with HR just to make sure that your side is also heard. And it's often very easy to attribute everything to office politics, right? Oh, she didn't give me a raise because she didn't. 95% of the time, that is not going to be the case. There will be a solid reason to kind of not give you the raise. Because remember, your manager also is reporting to her manager as well. And she wants to, right? So suddenly, if she's kind of playing favorites, it's not going to work out for her in the long run. So don't jump to that conclusion. But if you can definitively prove that that is the case, then please take it up.
Nidhi also has kind of a similar question. She's asking, what is the best way to voice your opinion if you and your manager don't see eye to eye in the meeting without offending your manager?
Again, Nidhi, I mean, it's just out of how you have that discussion, right? Again, if you go into the meeting with the mind frame, okay, she and I don't see eye to eye, I really don't like her, and she's not going to give me what she wants, what I want, it's not going to go well. In the meeting, remember, you're both adults, you're both professionals. I agree to disagree with you, but I think this is the way it should be, or I hear what you're saying, but why don't we look at it in a certain way? It's the way that you couch these discussions that matters. So whenever you're having an argument, it's always important to understand what the person is saying. One of the tricks that you often use is you repeat their other person's sentence, right? So I understand that you feel that I'm not performing well, but let me explain to you why I think that might not be the case. Versus, oh my God, I am performing well, I'll tell you why. So there are two different approaches to getting the same response. One is measured, one reflects back the question, and then you go forward and you give your explanation for it. Yeah?
Maybe I think your manager is also watching this and she's also commenting, so you will get your answer there.
Yes, you should ask questions
Okay.
you're asking.
Okay, so okay, fine. Once the appraisal is done, PG, and everything is done. So what if you're not happy with what you have received? Should you approach your manager again? And if you should, then how should you talk about it?
You know, I mean, if you're not happy, you're not going to be a happy person, right? And you're not going to give your best, and you're going to show. So please don't keep anything in your heads like that. If there's something that you really feel strongly about, please set up a time, have kind of a proper discussion with your manager, and do it, right? I mean, you should never feel that I can't have this discussion with someone. Of course, don't make a habit of it. That every second moment you're going and kind of saying this, you won't be taken seriously. But if you genuinely feel that there is a need, please set up a time, schedule it, and please go prepared for that, right? Just by saying, I think I need a raise is not important or it's not sufficient at all. Why you need
Yeah.
what have you done to deserve the raise? Other people, they've gotten the raise or not gotten the raise. In the industry, someone at my level gets this much. All those points are important when you're having that discussion as well.
Okay, PG, let's make it a little light and let's have some fun. Let's do a role reversal. Now I'm the boss. You are my employee. That's never going to happen, even not even in my dreams. So, but yeah, we have to do this right now. So I'm going to ask you three frequently asked questions in a review meeting, and you have to give me perfect answers for that. So the first question is your highlights of the year gone by.
My highlights of the year.
Yes.
For 2020,
You can pretend to be me. You can pretend to be me so that I get an idea of what I have to say in the upcoming appraisal meeting.
saying this.
Sorry?
Tend to be you when I'm saying this.
Yeah. Or you can, I mean, either way.
I wouldn't know your highlights as well. I can make them up as it goes. Crazy year, kind of the year began with the lockdown and we all started working from home. When we were doing that, all of these systems had to be put in place, and this is what I did to kind of cope up with that. We wanted to continue all of these formats, especially the workout formats. So this is how I managed. I've done so many videos in kind of over the course of the year. These many views is what kind of this thing has gotten. The property has become so big for us right now. The hashtag has so many kind of stays, whatever, all of those numbers that you have, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also managing so many people, and as you know, and this is what we've done so well, and these are the articles that work. Kind of every in our weekly review meeting, if you notice, I mean, one of the top stories is always mine, if that's the case or not the case, right? Making sure that you put your accomplishments forward, showing examples, and in a way that is an eye-opening thing for the manager. You know, you don't realize half the things half the time about a person unless the person tells you that.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, that's really smart. I definitely, I wasn't prepared like that. So now I know what to do. Okay, so second question is, where do you see yourself in the coming year?
See, again, that is a very key question, right? Because you should know what
Yeah.
you are, right? Some people are very rude here. I'm sorry. Like, why are they even here? Someone called Pablo is calling me, you a parrot nose. Like, whatever does that mean? Like, I mean, you really shouldn't be here if you feel that.
I haven't really noticed that comment only.
Yeah,
Parrot nose, yeah. Oh my God.
thank you for that. Not fired at all. Anyway, so the question was,
Yes.
got distracted by that.
So the question is, where do you see yourself in the coming year?
It's important to know what the company is doing, right? And figure out where you can fit in. Like for Popexo and us, kind of course, a huge thing happened this year when we merged with MyGlam, right? And all of us have kind of, for the second half of the year, have been kind of working exactly towards that. Understanding, and if it has not been told to you, please ask your managers or ask me, or say, what are the plans? That initiative is always good. And then based on that, then you can kind of position yourself within what the company wants to do, right? And then the manager is able to imagine you in that future role that you want. So understanding where the company is at, what are the plans for the company, keeping an eye out on kind of, the articles or the interviews that your CEO or your founders are giving, kind of just keeping an eye out, seeing what someone else in the industry is doing, what a competitor of ours is doing well. Okay, I see that your X, Y, Z is doing this and this well. I would like to kind of take this up as a further responsibility. Having that global view of your role, how you sit within the company's plans, how the company sits within the ecosystem, what are its competitors doing. So yeah, that's the time when you take out all of these things.
Right. So, moving on to the third question. So what if your manager tells you you've done well, I'm extremely proud of you, and we are giving you a promotion, but we cannot give you a raise because 2020 has been difficult. So what is the right answer to that? Because
Feel
it has been difficult for everyone.
excited about the company, and that is a standard thing that the company is doing across, right? It's not just
Yeah.
others have gotten raises and you're getting an excuse. If that's the case, I would just say fine. I kind of see where you're coming from, and if you're excited about the company, you continue doing what you're doing. But you feel that I mean, maybe if you go elsewhere and you get a better thing, then that is a personal kind of decision that you have to make. But oftentimes it's a short-sighted decision, right? Ups and downs of the
Yeah.
company,
True.
it's like all of us, right? They happen. So you have to believe in the company that you're in and kind of stick with them through thick and thin.
Right. So I'm going to take a question over here. Now you can back to being the boss. Neha Anand is asking if you have worked really hard and your manager is not able to justify and give you the appraisal, justify and give you the appraisal and explain to their manager how hard you work. I guess that is the question. I hope Neha got your question right. So then what should you do?
So I didn't get the question.
So she's asking that if your manager knows that you worked hard and but they are not able to justify it to their own manager and not able to give you an appraisal according to that, how should you address that?
See, usually it's not the case, right? The company is giving kind of, I mean, it's a very standard process of appraisal and reviews, the ratings. It's a formula that all of us are using, right? So it's very difficult to kind of find an odd case that doesn't sit within the formula. So if you feel again that what you're getting is not sufficient, same thing. Please kind of have a considered discussion. And if a manager comes back and
Hmm.
says, my manager saying that I can't, then talk to HR if you want to and say, listen, I'll just have a discussion with HR. Let me see what kind of if I can understand this better. So again, you're within your rights to have all of these discussions. The way you do it is important.
Right. PG, another question over here is that how to approach for the job after a long wait in the same company when you haven't left on a good note because of your appraisal problem.
See, look, leaving on a bad note is bad. I mean, how many times kind of I say to kind of think that, why? It's just so easy to leave
Yeah.
hard to leave on a good note. If you haven't left on a good note and then you want to come back, I mean, it's just hard. And remember, the person who's hiring you back is again a human being, right? And it's very difficult. And you remember things and you know how this person left. So I think then you come back and listen. I understand that when we left, when our last discussion was not a very, very constructive one, and I understand where I could have played that differently, and this is probably what I should have done. So kind of keeping that in mind, let's kind of I'd like to come back. So again, addressing the gap or the issue that was, calling it out in a good way and saying that you've learned from it, and then you want to come back. Of course, there's always a way back, but just leaving it is not a great idea.
Yeah, of course it is. So I think I have taken most of the questions, and we had some really good questions, and this was really great, PG, and it was really helpful, so insightful information. I mean, I'm all set for my review meeting. I hope you guys are too. If you guys have any more questions, you can ask. I mean, we still have some time.
I think we're beginning to get how to break the ice with your seniors. I think that's a great question.
Yeah. Oh.
Especially like these days, we all are working from home, and a lot of kind of going to the coffee machine and grabbing a cup of coffee and kind of talking to someone doesn't happen anymore. So it's important to really kind of figure out ways. Asking for help is a great way to break the ice. I really do understand this. Could you help me through this? Most of kind of people in the company will be willing to help you through that. That creates kind of that icebreaker bond, right? Speaking up. Most people who aren't willing to speak up in meetings, and especially kind of in Zoom meetings that you're having. So kind of speaking up for her is important. So then the person will remember and recognize you at the end of the day, right? Yeah, so it's up to you to kind of really make an extra effort to break the ice because it's not easy right now, right? And
Yeah.
manager and say, listen, I'd like to kind of be paired with someone who maybe they can introduce me around. All of those things. There are multiple ways that you can do, but then you have to be willing to do it, right? And open up, kind of think of creative ways that you can do it yourself as well.
I think it's really important to show your manager that you are willing to take whatever responsibility is being given to you. Okay, another question we have from Sahil Alam. He's asking, I had an experience in IT company for 15 months. I left my company to prepare for CAT, but now I didn't perform well in CAT. So how do I get my job back after a year?
Just be honest with your company and just say, look, this is what happened. And I was doing well when I was there. And if that role is still available, I'd like to come back to it. It's a very easy discussion to have if you kind of have it and you're honest with what happened, right? I left to kind of prepare for CAT. CAT didn't go so well. I want to come back. So kind of, again, the way you say it is basically what matters there.
Okay, someone is saying how to break the teeth of your seniors. Well, we wouldn't definitely advise that. Okay, I think we're done, almost done, PG. We have covered all areas. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think I close up with is that, look, these sessions are good and you get a very unfiltered as you kind of see a view with me. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be putting up the highlights of this as a as a carousel post or something in the next couple of days. Please ask your questions there and tag me and I'll come back and I'll answer them and we can keep the discussion going there if you want. I really want this to kind of be a space where we are able to have these discussions and open up any questions that you have on this. Because again, I'm repeatedly saying it is your economic right to get paid well for you, and being able to discuss it openly, discuss it well, discuss it with skill is kind of one of the key things that will determine how much money you'll make over the course of your career, right? It's as important as that. If you don't have these skills, then you will be left behind. And none of us want that for any of the people who work for us. So it's not a personal decision to the company giving you the money or not giving you the money. It is an economical decision for the company. To make it easy for the company to give it to you, right? And it's not hard to do. So please prepare for it now that after the season ends, keep your notes together and make sure that you're tracking all of this in the right way. So next year when you come around to this, you're prepared.
Right. I definitely haven't taken any notes because I was hosting the live, but of course I'm going to watch this video later and then make my notes. Okay, PG, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time, and it was really, really helpful.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.